Hi everyone, this is Richard. In this video, let's talk about creating an event callback, but really this is about the parent-child relationship with respect to components. So if you remember before, we talked about elements and the parent-child relationship there. Things that happen in the child propagate or go up, get sent messages to the parent elements. Just by that's the way it is, right? Unless you do something else about it. So we could communicate, have children and parents communicate, but let's go over that right now. This is the parent component, index.razor, and the child component is child.razor. And anytime you use the child element or component here, this is going to be the child and this is going to be the parent, right? So if you use this component in something else, the something else would be the parent, child, and grandchild. And that's how it goes, okay? So let's create a very simple component right here. I'm going to say onClick, and remember onClick is an event callback, right? So onClick callback. So it's a parameter, okay? Public. By the way, I think I mentioned before, parameters always have to be public. It's an event callback type, and it's going to be a mouse event args. Remember, we discussed how onClick it does save or send some information about the mouse clicking going on, okay? So that's the type here, and then onClick callback, that's the name, all right? And click B. And I will send that through, and as I do the child component parameter, and then I'm going to say show message. So what this basically is getting the onClick callback, which is basically a event callback with mouse event args, right? So it's going down and it's saying the message, and where you click on it, it tells you where you are with respect to the location of the cursor when you click, okay? So we've done this before, but we've just done it a little bit differently. So wait a minute, why am I doing onClick here, and why am I doing onClick callback? It seems a little redundant, right? So, but first of all, this is a custom event callback, right? So we just made our own custom event callback that didn't exist, and we can do that. And this is very simple because it just simulates, it just mimics exactly the onClick. But at the same time, in the future, we might make it a little bit more complicated, just that we're getting the basics and understanding this for right now. By the way, I don't think I mentioned, I did copy this from the Microsoft documents, so just in case it looks familiar, but I just had to remove some things because it was confusing me because there was too much on the screen itself. So the question, okay, let's ask the question. When you see the slash component right here, and you click on the click me button, what are you clicking on? Is it the parent element? I'm sorry, component, excuse me, the parent component or the child component, right? So here I'm on the parent component, here I'm actually on the child component. So why don't I just put child on click, right? Because it doesn't have a parameter on click to it, right? So you're adding parameters on there that don't actually exist. That's why you can't do that. So, but because this is a child element. So if you want to do an on click here, you have to introduce it over here. So on click and the communication from the child to the parent goes through the parameter. All right, so I want this button to be clickable. So I have to send this information through the parameter to the parent here. That's why we can't use onClick, because you're not actually clicking on the child. OnClick can only be used for the current element. You're not clicking on the child element. The parent element. You're clicking on the child element, and it doesn't have that capability. Okay? So if we talk about other things like, for example, like button onClick, we can do that just because the button does have onClick as a built-in parameter. That's why we're able to do that, not with these other elements that we've created, okay? So we've created an event callback. We went through how the child communicates with the parent, all right, by sending information through the parameter. And then we'll have to see how we communicate from the parent to the child, but that's for a future video. Thanks.